So I heard a quote yesterday that I loved, and it was just simply this, that intuition has already told you everything that you need to know, is the part I'm adding, but just intuition has already told you, and the rest is just a negotiation with fear. So, if you're struggling with decisions, or if you're struggling with which way do I go, or how do I proceed in this moment, try to remember that paying attention to our intuition is such a gift, and the more we cultivate it, the more it shares its truth with us. And I think there's a lot of truth that we already know what the answer is, but the rest of all of our, kind of quality of thinking that we're doing is just a matter of navigating our own fear around a situation. So, as you close your eyes and sit up straight and tall, what does that kind of resonate inside you? That intuition has already told you, and the rest is just a negotiation with fear. So, how can you bolster your intuitive muscles when you close your eyes and tune inward? What's the very first thing that you pay attention to? Yeah, what are you noticing right here? I think a backdrop of intuition is presence. That if you race, race, race and never allow yourself to land in the here and now, it's very difficult to touch the intuitive nature. So this is the way that our yoga practice really supports us, cultivating presence. So as you close your eyes and sit within yourself, be patient. Maybe the when you ask how are you, maybe the answer takes a little time to bubble up. So it doesn't have to be touching awareness quickly. Sometimes it can be touching awareness slowly. Start to invite the breath deeply within you. And just remember that breath and presence are two of our greatest skill building to help us live within intuition. As you tune inward instead of outward, kind of releasing from your vision, turning inward as best as you can. Rest your eyes on the inner space. Align your posture so that your body feels stable and free. Kind of check in. Is there any place that's a little bound or stuck that you could bring some aliveness or spaciousness to? Notice your breathing, and is there anywhere within the breath, maybe your diaphragm or the way you're holding your neck or shoulders, is there anything interrupting the beautiful ease of breath? Let's pay a little more close attention to the rhythm of our breathing, the pacing of our breathing now. So as your diaphragm opens and frees itself up, see if you can just stretch both the inhale and the exhale a teeny bit longer. You can do balanced breath where the inhale and the exhale mirror each other in quality and in speed. Or perhaps you know that you need a little pick me up right now, that your energy's low, and so you can increase the volume or speed or length of your inhale. Maybe your nervous system needs a little calming, so you can adjust your exhale to be your emphasis. Just kind of find the rhythm of breathing that's right for you in this moment. And whatever you're choosing, quality and speed, let's see if we can remember to feel all the enjoyment of breath and the full opening and releasing of breath. So let your body receive and let your body let it go. Is there anything in the way of that? Check in with your skull, your face, the base of your skull, your tongue, all the places that might carry a bit of tension. And then, however you're choosing to moderate the breath, let's bring our hands together, and you can keep that pattern going. Let's bring our hands to the center and tune inward to that focused attention. And if we remember that energy goes and flows where your attention is, okay, so we want our attention to be very clear. Offer an intention, set that energy focus. And then when you're ready, we can release the hands. All right, find your way to your back. All right, so as you stretch out and lengthen your body on the ground, let's notice, what you're experiencing here. We'll stretch our arms overhead. Just enjoy the right side, enjoy the left side, and mostly enjoy just becoming one with your body, where the mind, heart, body really kind of merge into one. Okay, what a delight to live in presence with your body. So if you have any negative self-talk in any way, let's see if we can just turn our attention toward gratitude within our presence and joy in our presence. All right, let's go ahead and rock. Bring your knees in and rock a little bit left and right. Remember, you can modify anything and everything to kind of serve what it is that your body wants right now. Okay, hang on to the knees and let's circle. Notice your sacrum. See if you can get some ease across the sacrum. And then roll your knees the other direction. And then we'll open up our knees away from the middle and bring them back in toward, and just enjoy some range in your hip joints. Right knee into your chest, left leg long on the ground. Let's roll around in your ankles, wiggle through your toes, feel some freedom in your feet. A nice good squeeze of the knee, and then let's open up into a twist. Stretch your body. Big breath here, expand through your heart space, reach all the way through to your fingers. And then we'll come back to your center and pick up your head, give it a nice squeeze. Relax your head down, and let's go ahead and change sides. Left knee into your chest, right leg comes long on the ground. Move around in your ankles again. See if you can find all the freedom you can in the bones and joints. A good squeeze of that knee, and then cross the left knee over to the right and enjoy a twist, stretching open. Try to find something new to observe in your body. Notice a new sensation arising, maybe as you breathe well. And then back, bring that knee into your chest. Then stretch your body to a star, reaching your limbs really wide. Roll around in your wrists, wiggle through your fingers. A big breath. As you exhale, draw your knees in, pick up your head. Okay, one more time. Expanding open, stretch your limbs wide. Exhale, draw your knees in toward your chest. All right, put your feet down onto the ground, arms out to the side, and just rock a little bit left and right. All right, we're going to do a little deeper twist. Now remember, you can have a block handy for this if you need to. Drop, feet are a little wider than your hip width. Drop your left knee toward your right foot. pick up your left foot and put it on the outside of your right knee. And feel free to wedge a block underneath your leg or either leg, really, but wherever you feel like you need it. And let's feel that stretch. See if you can lengthen through the front of your right hip and through that hip flexor a little bit. Stretch your right arm overhead. Grab onto that right arm with the left hand and find a little pull on that hand, reaching through the whole side of your body. And then come back to center and take your feet apart. Bring your knees into your chest, round your spine. Put your head back down and grab your feet for a happy baby and rock a little bit left and right. All right, and then put your feet down again, hip width or maybe a little wider. This time drop your left knee toward your right foot. Pick up your right foot and put it on the outside of your left knee and stretching through the front of the thigh on this side. Notice your breath. Stretch that left arm overhead, maybe grab with your right hand on that left wrist and give that length a little bit of a tug. Feel your breath enter into your left hip, open up through the front of the ribs. And then come back to center. Okay. Release that. Keep your right foot on your left knee and pick up your legs and bring them toward your chest and do any variation of a reverse pigeon that you like. I'm doing some rocking through my hips, some circling. I've got a hand on my right foot and a hand on my right knee. Just kind of find maybe you want to be still in a reverse pigeon pose more classically. All right, and then keeping that position, right foot on left knee, we're going to drop our legs to the left. And again, you don't have to go all the way down. You can stick a block under your foot if you want. Just kind of find this twist. Maybe your left hand can press your right knee away a little bit. And just kind of find where in that angle feels good for your right hip. A big breath in. Big breath out. Coming back to center. Put both feet onto the ground and straighten your legs for a moment. Reach your arms overhead. A big breath. Knees into your chest, and then we'll switch sides. Left foot on your right knee. Pick up your legs, bring them toward your chest. Maybe you're holding the back of your thigh or the front of your right shin. Maybe one hand's on each side. Just kind of find movement or stillness, anything that feels good to just kind of open up the hip a little bit. How's your breathing? Are you staying in presence with the body? The subtle little sensations that you're starting to feel, are you with yourself? Try to keep your mind present for what you're experiencing. All right, and then we'll put our right foot down onto the ground and drop your legs over to the right. And don't feel like you have to go all the way to the ground. You can stick a block underneath your knee or underneath your foot, or maybe you go all the way to the ground. Sometimes I grab onto my ankle and pull it a little higher toward my shoulders. Sometimes I press my knee away. Just kind of experiment with what's going to feel good in your hip here. Make sure your low back is happy with what you're doing. And getting some range into those hips. All right, and then come back up. Stretch your legs to a star one more time, widening it out. Exhale, draw your knees into your chest, round the spine. One more happy baby. If there's any tension that creeped in your low back, let's open it up now. Maybe a little rocking left and right, maybe stillness. And then release your legs and we'll roll to our side and come up to our hands and our knees. As you find all fours, enjoy cat-cows. Okay, so let's start moving through the spine, arching and rounding, feeling some freedom, breathing deeply. And then maybe a little tail wag, maybe some circles through your hips. Maybe you're moving around in your spine. Remember, all this movement in your vertebrae is so good for keeping the suppleness alive in your spine. Okay. And then we'll stretch back to a child's pose. Take your knees as wide as you want them. Stretch your arms overhead and enjoy the length. Take a deep breath in and melt on your exhale. Feel that nice good compression in the hip joints. We're going to do a little range in our hips here. So up onto all fours, tuck your tail under, round the spine, back to a child's in that position. And then up, tip the tail toward the sky, arch your back, press back to child's with your hips in that position. And one more time, back up, round the spine, tail tucks under, back to child's. Back up, tip the tail high, back to child's. Just feeling how your pelvic movement and your femur bones have such a obvious relationship. You know, when we change the angles of our pelvis, it really changes our hip joints. Come back up onto all fours and find some movement again. Okay. Reach the right arm up in the air, give your wrist a little swirl, and then exhale and drop that shoulder down, twisting to the side. Maybe a little pressure on that hand, a little depth in your breath. All right, and then reach that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground and we'll switch sides. Arm up, give your arm a little swirl. Exhale, drop that shoulder down. Enjoy the breath. Deepen the pose maybe a bit by pressing the hand into the earth. How's your breathing? All right, and then we'll reach that arm back up in the air. Hand down onto the ground and lift to a dog pose. Take a little time to find your legs here. Pedal your feet. Notice your calves, your shins. Release any tension in your head. Return back to the breath again and again. See if you can release any tension away from your face. All right, and when you feel ready, walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana, forward fold. Okay. Inhale for a halfway lift, opening up through your body. Let's take a little time, maybe pedaling our legs here, reaching a hip back, and then reaching the other hip back. Just getting some sideways range in our pelvis. And then ground into a Uttanasana again, forward fold. Let's grab the base of your skull with your hands. Have a little traction and pull your chin towards your chest. Push through your feet, a halfway lift, opening up through the spine. And then exhale, surrendering again. Push through the feet one more time, rising up. Bring the arms to the sky, feeling that extension open up through your chest. Maybe a little bit of a lean back, lifting the heart up, noticing the imprint of, when we lift our heart, the change in our psychology just by the change in our body shape. Okay, let's open up a cactus. Big breath in. Exhale, round in, chin to chest. Let's do that again. Arms up and wide. And exhale, round in. Pause here for a moment. Palms together and feel the ground. Let your breath rise and fall. Patience and presence. Patience, presence, and breath. If we want our intuition to heighten, to become more accessible to us, We need to learn how to be patient and present and breathe, and so many other things too. But this is how our practice supports this development. Okay, take a deep breath in, arms up to the sky. Exhale, folding forward. Relax your head. A halfway lift, expand open. Exhale, melt and fold. Step back to a dog pose. Feel some length in your body and breathe. For a moment, take your feet a little wider. Turn your toes in and feel that internal rotation of the femur bones. Lift and widen your sit bones. All right, come back to neutral. Keep breathing. And we'll come forward on the next breath in to a plank. Press the ground away, shoulders away from the ears. Spread your toes, spread your hands. And then we'll put our knees down on the ground and find the earth with your belly. Roll the shoulders. Inhale for a cobra. Enjoy the back bend. Exhale. Release again. One more time, rising up. Exhale, releasing down. Come back up onto all fours, move out in your spine, and then stretch back to a child's pose. Walk the hands forward, lengthen here. Notice where you put your pelvis. Do you lean toward that more, the variation where your tail kind of curls under, or do you lean toward the variation where your tail lifts up? Just notice your tendencies of how you like to set your femur bones and your pelvis. Walk the hands over to one side and stretch through your side and breathe. Enjoy what this feels like. We'll try to touch every part of our body in our practice. So bring your awareness to your finger pads and then watch and observe as you feel your tracing from your hand all the way to your hip. And we'll go to the other side when you're ready. Again, body awareness. So as you stretch open, what do you notice first? And then see if you can notice everything from your finger pads all the way through, trail down your body into your side, all the way to your hip. Notice the breath. And come back to center. Let's bring our right foot forward, come to a lunge on this side. Pick up your back knee. Open up through your chest. And we'll bend and straighten that front knee, moving with your breath, feeling your way into some good range of movement and good range of breathing. All right, ground yourself. Push through your feet, rise up, crescent lunge, reaching the arms to the sky. Just let your body open up the way it likes in this posture. Maybe challenge your balance a little bit, look up. Release the hands down, back foot forward. A halfway lift when you're ready, extending the heart. Lift the sit bones. Exhale to melt and fold. Relax your neck. Step your right foot back, left foot's in front. Let's warm up this leg. Begin to bend and straighten the knees. So feeling both the hamstrings open up and the hip flexors. See if you can keep your pelvis in a neutral place where we're not leaning into one side or the other. Linking breath and movement, another great way to just kind of bring us into presence, patient presence with ourselves. Ground your legs, push through your feet, rising up here. Take your arms anywhere you want, take your vision anywhere you want. Just let this invitation to a standing pose give you some ground. Let's have a rooting quality and an opening quality. Maybe challenge your balance a little bit, close your eyes, or look up, or do something that kind of sends some signals to your nervous system a little differently. And hands down, go up to a dog pose. Feel that extension in the body. Root into your hands and your feet. Yield and push and reach. When your next in-breath comes, forward into a plank. And when your next out-breath comes, move down toward the ground. Inhale for a cobra. Exhale and release. All right. Come up onto all fours. And then come back to a seat and sit on the edge of a blanket and grab a block. Okay. So as we come here, we're going to just kind of wake up our hip flexors a little bit. You can either maybe start with the block on the low height. You can always do this on the middle height. You can even do it on the highest height, but we'll start with the low height and see how we do. All right, so scoot a little bit so that we're going to work with the right leg first. So we want our left leg to be like it would be if we were hip width apart. So not we can have our foot just a little bit wider than our hip. Okay, so or right in line with our hip, so not narrow. Okay, so you choose kind of your grounded placement with that left leg, and then have the block not right up against the left leg, but maybe I don't know 4 or 5 inches or 6 inches away from that leg, and the other leg's a little further out to the side. So we're going to ground ourselves. You can hold your hands on the earth. Don't lean back. So we don't want to do this with a back lean. We want it with a nice upward posture. Feel your core. Before we even begin, maybe just stretch your arms up overhead so you really ignite the center of the body. And then place the hands back down so you have a little extra support. And we're going to lift your right leg up and over the block and just back and forth. Take a little break in between. So, you'll land with your legs very close, and then we'll bring that leg over. Now, a tendency is going to be you're going to want to move, you might, I don't know, but you might want to move your left leg in. See if you can keep your left leg really grounded, and we're just in the movement of our right leg. Okay, so if the width of the block is hard or the height of the block is hard, you can choose something else. You can even just move the block out of there and just imagine something, a little bit lower and a little bit thinner if the block height is challenging. All right, and then we'll release that. And we're going to take the block to the inside of the left or the right leg instead. Remember the gap we need for where our foot's going to be. All right, now adjust your seat on the blanket. Okay, so we'll take a deep breath in and we'll change. Okay, so we're finding our way, lifting and lowering. So you might find that you immediately get a thigh cramp or a hip cramp. And if that's the case, you got to kind of reorganize yourself. Feel free to take some breaks. Plant your foot down. Don't feel like you have to just kind of go back and forth really rapidly. Give yourself time to notice, did I roll back on my pelvis? Can I stay neutral in my pelvis? Is my right leg grounded and steady? Is my core engaged? Just notice if, one side of this action is harder than the other leg. All right, and then we'll relax that and just notice what gave you the strength to do that in your hip flexors. Okay, we're going to repeat, but just in a moment. First, we'll come onto our back, and we're going to come into a low boat pose first, and then we'll do a higher boat. Take a deep breath in, lift your shoulder blades just a little bit off the ground, and lift your legs up nice and low to the earth. Find your core. If the back of your neck is bothersome, put your hands there and rest your head on your hands. How's your breathing? All right, and then we'll lower ourselves down, arms up overhead so you feel that reaching in your body. And now when we come into a full boat pose, come up first. All right, so we're coming at it from this position. And I recommend keeping the knees bent instead of the knees straight unless you really feel solid in this. We want to protect our back. You can keep your heels on the ground and do the pose just like this with the heels on the ground if that's where your back needs you to be. Already, I can feel this in my hip flexors, nice and strong. So the heels down can be one variation, or you can pick your feet up. Now, if you want to straighten your legs, go for it. I'm going to keep my knees bent so that I can really focus on keeping my spine lifted. Try not to roll back onto your sacrum. See if you can stay upright as much as possible and breathe. Use those hip flexors and core. All right, and then release your feet down. Open your knees out and come forward to a nice relaxed forward fold. Kind of in a wide Supta Baddha Konasana with your legs. All right. Now come back. We'll do another round. Let's try to do 5 each side. How we're going to do this a little differently. Instead of, I forgot to mention this before, so I apologize for that. But instead of your toes pointing straight up, which is, I hope, what you were doing before, this time we're going to turn our foot in when we do this. Okay. So as you lift the leg up, keep your foot slightly turned in. And you're going to notice, so when your foot's turned up, you're using you have a few different hip flexors in your body. You have a big one of your big quadriceps comes over the hip joint and is a hip flexor, but you also have, and your psoas, of course, is your primary hip flexor, but you also have that smaller muscle on the outside of your hip called your TFL. It's the muscle that the IT band is the tendon for. And when we internally rotate the foot a little bit, you're going to feel that muscle. Okay, so make sure you're resting in between, otherwise you're just going to cramp right up. And maybe do 3 to 5 passes, just depending on how much your body can tolerate. And then notice if you start leaning back or if you're rounding your spine or crumpling, keep that boat pose alive in your body. Okay, so 3 to 5. Feel free to take a break. And then we'll relax and come to the other side. Did you forget to breathe? How's the breath? Start with your legs, on the wide stance. The block is a little bit over to the left now. And we're going to internally rotate the left foot. Keep your right foot pointing straight up. You can, if it feels more natural to internally rotate both legs, you can do that. But focus on that left leg. And then again, taking some little breaks in between, especially if you instantly get a cramp in that TFL. We want to take a little break, and during the break you can wobble your leg if you like. So you kind of release tension in that hip flexor. Okay. Now notice if you're laying back, try to find that upright posture. Use your hands, use your core. All right, and then after you've done 3 to 5 on this side, we'll relax again. Come into Baddha Konasana with your feet not right up against you, so pulled away. Drop some weight into your elbows and lengthen your spine. Isolating that TFL can be really nice for us to understand the action of the muscle. It's an internal rotator, it's a hip flexor, and it's an abductor. So it's a very useful muscle. It's not the biggest muscle we have in our body, but it plays with a lot of other muscles. So let's come onto all fours. Find your way into just a nice little tail wag. Maybe even your feet want to slide around a little. And then we'll take our left foot back, stretch through the calf, cross that foot over, and turn and look at your foot. And just let that hip stretch a little bit. And then back to center. Switching sides, right foot back, cross it over, turn and look at it. Okay, and then back to center. Curl the toes under and lift up to a dog pose. Take a little time here. Find your way. And then feet just a teeny bit wider than your hips. Just, it doesn't have to be super wide, but just a little bit wider than your hips. Turn your toes in a little bit. So find that internal rotation and then drag your feet apart from each other on the mat. A little isometrics here so that we're both internally rotating our legs and abducting at the same time. Or do you feel stronger on one side than the other? And then relax that. Walk your feet forward. Feel some ease. Inhale for a halfway lift. Opening up through the spine. Exhale and melt back down. Push through the feet. Rising up. Bring the arms to the sky. And then we'll release back down. Take your feet hip width apart. If you need a block, you can have a block between your thighs for a chair pose. But otherwise, we're going to do this pose today with our feet hip width apart instead of our legs together. Come down into a chair. Now imagine that you can, from this chair pose, drag your feet apart from each other and see if you can feel those smaller hip flexors help and join in with the psoas. Draw the knees into the hips, lift your chest, reaching the arms up to the sky. All right, and then come up onto your tippy toes, stretch big and wide. And then exhale and take your feet down. Take your legs wider and have your feet pointing straight forward. Bend your knees just a little bit to get down close to the ground, and then once you're there, straighten your legs. Just like we just did in the dog pose. See if you can turn your toes in and press your feet wide. Find your breath. And then relax your head. Come on up, turn your toes out, and come to a deep squat. All right, so now our toes are turned out, so the different hip flexors start to engage a little bit along with the TFL. Press into the feet, lengthen through your spine, open up the inner thighs. All right, inhale and come all the way up to stand. Turn your right foot out. Okay, find your breath, and we'll find our way into Parsvakonasana. Elbow on your knee and stretch your arm overhead and just enjoy the length in that back, in the left side of your body. Full breath in, full breath out, observing your body in space. What feels good? What are you grateful for in your body right here? All right, come back up and let's turn your feet the other way. Find your way into Parsvakonasana here. Elbow on your knee, stretch your arm overhead. Opening through the chest, ground yourself. Just enjoy all that length. All right, and then we'll come back up. Turn that foot forward. Heel toe your feet in a little bit. Okay, and then come back to the neutral stance. So, that break of when we do poses like boat pose and what we're about to do, there's a lot of flexion. And it's nice to take those externally rotated standing poses in between to give us some length in our hip flexors. Okay, so now we're going to stand on our right knee, bring our left knee up in the air. And just simple pose, but it sometimes can be very hard and we can start doing weird things with our hips. So let's see if we can keep neutral. Engage through your core. Put your left hand on your thigh and push your knee up into your hand and your hand into your knee. So I have to engage those hip flexors to help us stabilize here. Active through your feet. Lift through your crown. And then we'll release that foot down onto the ground. Standing on our left foot. Notice if your hip likes to sink out to the side. Keep that hip engaged in so we're not sinking. We're not pushing our femur bone forward and not sinking it out to the side. We're not slumping. We're keeping that nice and steady stance. First, just find the pose, lifting your leg up. Notice if your leg wants to externally rotate. See if you can keep neutral. So your foot is right underneath you. Hand on your knee, press, lift through your crown. Keep that left hip in and your left knee soft. How's your breath? Is there fluidity in your body somewhere? Soften your gaze. All right, and then we'll release that leg down. Step your left foot back. Virabhadrasana 1, heel down onto the ground. And just enjoy, once again, opening the hip flexor of that back leg. So as you stretch the hip flexor, see if you can get the feeling that you're still having your hand against your thigh on that front leg. So one leg is very flexed and the other is very open. The hip flexors are open. Breathing, maybe look up, ground through your legs. And then hands down, back foot comes forward, forward fold. A halfway lift, opening up through the spine. Exhale and release again. Step your right foot back. Virabhadrasana 1 this side. Ground yourself. See if you can, the pelvis doesn't go all the way square, but we want that sensing that you can do oppositional things, that your front leg can be in a deep flexion and your back leg can be in deep extension. Root into your feet and rise. Breathing deeply. Imagine that hand is still on your thigh, that you're lifting your thigh up into, and at the same time, press your foot down. Relax your hands down to the ground, dog pose. Big breath here, opening up your body, feel symmetry. Let's turn our toes in one more time. Drag your feet apart. And then walk your feet forward, come to Uttanasana. One more time, chair pose, but this time hands on your thighs. Imagine we're trying to lift our knees into our hands at the same time as pressing our feet into the ground. And see if you can drag your feet apart. So much activity, right? So lift your knees into your hands, press into the ground, and drag your feet apart. And notice all the lighting up. Do you have one leg that's stronger than the other? Okay, relax that. Come all the way up to stand up onto your toes, reaching your heart forward, hands or feet down, open up to a back bend a little bit, and then release your hands down to the ground. And last of the deep hip flexor work, and then we'll stretch open our hip flexors. So standing on our right leg, this time you can either do this pose like we did before, no more pressing on the knee, or straighten your leg. And don't worry how high you go. Just like when we were moving the foot on the block, see if you can lift your leg and maybe lift your arms. Unlock your standing knee. Don't worry about your leg height. Lower it if you start to lose your stability. Use your core. Can you find those hip flexors? All right, and then lower that leg down onto the ground. Drop into your left foot. Try when we're standing on this one leg that we're not leaning into it. So our hip is in, our thigh is back, our knee is soft, and we're grounded through our foot. Find the length upward through your spine. Bring that knee up, the right knee up. And then we'll straighten that leg. And again, don't feel like you have to have it at a right angle. Lower it a little bit so that you're stable. Keep your left hip in and use your deep core to lift out of your hips. Use that hip flexor and keep the hips balanced. Sometimes it's nice to start with your hands on your hips so you can feel if your hip is hiking. And then reach the arms up. Find your breath. And then we'll lower down. All right. Fold forward. A halfway lift, extending the spine. Exhale back to a dog. Come forward into a plank, and then lower yourself to the ground. Take your arms wide and out in front of you, palms on the ground, and stretch open through your belly. Let your psoas muscles lengthen. And then release. Take your forearm in front of you, right forearm in front of you, reach back and grab your left foot. And just open up through your quads on that left side. Feel your tail lengthen toward your knees, your pubic bone toward your belly. So you have a nice stability through your pelvis. Open up all the fibers of your quads. Remember that one of your quadriceps is a hip flexor. You just did a lot of work with that muscle. And then release that leg and switch sides. Bring your left arm in front of you, reach back and grab your right foot. You can keep your head down on your arm, or you can lift up a little bit. Your choice of where you are in the space, but just make sure your pelvis is nice and stable. Breathe. Is there anywhere that you haven't lengthened in the fibers of your quads? See if you can get the sensation to spread out. All right. And then relax that leg. All right. We're going to add the hip flexors into the stretch now. Come up onto all fours. You might need a blanket underneath your knee. You might need a strap for this. Okay. We're going to come forward with our right foot and lunge. So make sure that you're not at, so look at me from the side. You don't want to be like this where you're at right angles. You want to be lunged forward. Okay, so make sure your pelvis is forward of your back knee. Otherwise, when you lift that leg up, it'll just be painful on your kneecap. If you're using a block, put it underneath your left hand. Okay, you can also put your hand on the ground. I wouldn't put an unstable block. If you're going to use a block, a low block, or stack two low blocks so that you're nice and stable here. You can also put your hand on the ground. Okay, so we're going to reach back with our right hand and grab your left foot and pick it up. If you need to, you can wrap a strap. I should show this from the side. You can wrap a strap around your ankle to do this pose if need be. Okay. Find your breath. Lean forward so you're opening up both the quads and the hip flexors. All right. Come on out of that pose. You can do a half Hanumasana if you'd like in between. And then we'll switch to the other side. Okay. So as your left foot comes forward, remember we're lunging. We're not letting our pelvis land right over our back knee, but our pelvis is forward of our back knee. Make sure your front heel, your left ankle, is underneath your left knee. You don't want your knee sliding forward. Have your hand on a low block or two blocks, whatever you need, or the ground. Reach back. You can wrap a strap around your ankle if you need a little extra length to reach it, or just swing that left arm behind you, pick up your right foot and reach forward or reach for it. Make sure you're not right on your kneecap. You want to be out forward of your kneecap on the bottom edge of your quads. How's your breath in this pose? Is your hip stuck way out to the side? Can you drop your left hip down and in? Open your chest and breathe into your quads, into your hip flexors. All right, if you'd like a half Hanumasana, feel free. And then we're going to walk our left foot over to the right and come into a pigeon pose. Adjust anything that needs adjusting. You can flip over onto your back. You can put some props underneath you, whatever it is that you need for this pose. And now we'll move into that external rotation. Breathe your way here and relax. It's a great place to renew your awareness of your breathing. If you lost sight of it a little bit, you can always return here and just find your way into that slow, steady pace of breathing. Come out, come back onto all fours. Stretch that left leg straight. Cross your left leg over to the right and turn and look at that foot. Okay, and then come back to center and we'll switch to the other side. Again, if you need props, take props. Right leg is in front now. Come into a pigeon pose, however best suits. Try not to sink into the right hip. We want to have balance across our pelvis. You can always be on your back if you need it. All right, we'll come out of there. Come back onto all fours one more time. Take your right leg straight back, curl your toes under, cross the right leg over to the left, and turn to look at it. Come back to neutral, and let's come on to our back. Okay. All right, a simple twist. Shift your knees over to the right, drop your legs left. You'll always have the opportunity to straighten that top leg for the twist and grab your toe or your calf. This might feel good today after that hip flexor works. Your choice always. Back to center, over to the other side. Feel free to straighten that top leg, keep the knees together, allowing that hip to reach away from the shoulder. And then come back to center. Straighten your legs or do any, if you need a happy baby or something, feel free. But if you're ready, straighten your legs on the ground. And of course, you can put some support underneath your knees, especially after all the hip flexor work. It might feel good to soften them a little bit. And as you find yourself lying down, the practice today very leg intensive. So just see if you can enjoy the weight of your legs and let them rest on the ground. Take it up as much space as you'd like. And as you feel that sense of surrender start to come, return back to the awareness of your breath, the awareness of your body, the patience in presence. Maybe your breath wants to have a big sigh. Make sure your breathing stays deep. Connect into the melting of your limbs. And let's begin to deepen our breathing. Feel a little bit of movement in your body. Transition however is best for you. And when you're ready, we'll come up to a comfortable seat. Taking your time, moving slowly with breath and patience. And again, just remember that your intuition already has all the answers for you. The rest is just a negotiation with fear. Notice if your mind, body, heart is clear, if the pathways of energy and intuition are a little more clear and open. Let's bring our hands together and on the breath, offer your energy. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.